Hey, welcome back everybody. It's really good to see you. Today we're going to unpack an ultra lightweight bug out bag and survival kit, discuss a couple key principles for you to consider when building your own, and the top 10 items you need to make sure you have covered. Hey, and if this is your first time here, I just want to welcome you. I really appreciate you spending a few moments here with me today. If you want to master your field craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date. So there are a couple key principles I need you to take into consideration when you're looking at building your own bug out bag or survival kit. The first one is you need to keep it light. This one clocks in at just under 14 pounds, but as you're going to see, it is jam-packed with all kinds of items and some built-in redundancy. So when you're looking at a max weight, you really want to keep it at 20 to 25% of your total body weight. So for me, I could go all the way up to about 25 to 30 pounds and keeping that weight. And what that's going to do is, as I'm putting miles on the road between where I'm at and where I'm trying to get to based off of the situation, the amount of weight that I'm packing is not going to degrade my body, and it's not going to degrade my mind. Because if you're broken, if you're hurting, and you're trying to pack too much gear across too far of a distance, it's just not going to do you any good on your body. And the flip side of that, the second and third order effect, is it's going to affect your mental state and everything that you do from there on forward. And so the next principle I want you to consider is to carry multiple kits and having different layers of depth in what you're doing and planning for, because we can't carry things on us all the time for every single situation or scenario that may arise. Now, the first layer that of course we're going to be carrying are things that are on us, and these are typically called your everyday carry items. Now, for me personally, I don't carry a lot of items all the time consistently day in and day out, but there are a few items that I always have on my person regardless of where I'm at. Anytime, any place, anywhere, they're always on my person. And the first one is a Zippo lighter. Always have this thing on me, man. Love it. Now, next up, of course, are my keys. And the big thing on my key ring is my flash drive here, my little thumb drive. I got all kinds of knowledge on here. And, you know, I've had this thing around for a long time, and it's my dad's old P38 or John Wayne can opener. I love this thing. Still works to this day. It's freaking great. And of course, the other big one we take into consideration, of course, a lot is our phone. And I carry this on me all the time, not only for connectivity and communication purposes, but again, it's just a great resource to have with a lot of maps and local information as well. Last but not least, I always carry on me a fixed blade knife, and this is an SE Izulu 2. Love this thing. It's done me really good. Not just for cleaning fingernails and opening MREs or whatnots, but anytime I need a knife, and I prefer a fixed blade knife, just provides some more stability. And so the other thing that I really want to stress out, you know, before we get looking at this thing, is this is not a 72-hour bug out bag. I believe those have their place, you know, but this is just not what that's designed to be. This is designed to be an ultra lightweight, basic bug out bag and survival kit with all the items that I need. I could survive, you know, well beyond a couple days, you know, but this just gives me everything I need. You know, if I'm out on that remote road and I'm hiking or camping or hunting, whatever the case is, and there's a vehicle breakdown, I can throw this on my pack and I can put a lot of miles between where I'm at in the event that happened to where I'm trying to go to be able to sustain life. So let's dig into this pack and we'll start seeing what's in this thing. Right, and so the second layer is gonna be something similar to a pack like this, something that's really lightweight and can still allow us to enable to navigate through a variety of scenarios. Maybe something that we leave in our car or really close by our person, right inside the house, in the office, whatever the case is. Again, you know, you don't want anything as far as the second layer is concerned that's too bulky, that's gonna weigh you down, and it's just going to cause more of a burden on yourself. So you want to keep it nice and small. And so the third layer is going to be, you know, all the things that we have in our home. Maybe you store your items in tough boxes, camping stuff, or survival things that you have placed out in the garage, a cache of food. And then you also can consider, you know, pre-setting out some different caches of equipment. There's a lot of easy ways to do that. You just got to be a little creative and know where you're putting everything so you can get back to it. You know, and when it comes to the things that we pack and prepare for, you know, there's a lot of people out there that plan for the absolute worst case scenario. Maybe it's, you know, a nuclear strike, you know, a big huge EMP, solar flare, you know, World War III, you know, Red Dawn, Wolverine. But if we can be honest with ourselves, there are countless of scenarios that could arise any day of the week that are going to have a significant impact on us. Maybe it's a vehicle breakdown on a remote road. Maybe you're out hunting or camping and you can't make it back to a primary road, so you have to be able to move and take care of yourself. Maybe it's an extended power outage due to a natural disaster of something of this nature. You know, maybe it is, you know, something, you know, like we've seen in Boston or of course New York City, and you're trying to move from one location to another, but you need to be able to carry things on you to be able to sustain all the necessary things for your life and for those lives that who are around you or in your charge. And so what I'm going to caution you against, you know, is breaking the bank as you're trying to put something together, because, you know, a lot of people are out there, you know, they're just trying to buy things that are tacti-cool, you know, and spending all kinds of money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to go out and buy a couple $100 whoopee, but I can't justify that right now. So plan for small things, you know, make a good solid list for yourself, and then just make a budget. And if you need to, just buy a item once a paycheck or once a month. You know, maybe once a year you buy a larger, more valuable item. You know, whether it's packing for a bug out bag or getting your garage. You don't have to get everything all done at once. I know growing up, my dad was a leather worker, and he had just a chock full of tools for his tooling, and of course he had a lot of mechanics and carpentry tools as well. And growing up, you know, as a young kid, I just wanted it all right now, like a lot of kids do, and I didn't understand the value of patience and virtue and things that happen to collect over time. So don't get in a rush, don't go in debt. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we got to be smart and follow the fifth principle of patrolling, which is of course common sense. All right, so you know, as I mentioned earlier, there are 10 categories of items that you need to have packed, and the last one I think you'll find is not necessarily a physical item, it's an intangible item, and it is the most important. And so those other items are food, fire, water, shelter, communication, maintaining a core body temperature, navigation, and self-defense. So I think, as we're going to see, I got about everything covered in here, and we'll start breaking this thing out and see how we're doing. So the first up is just a standard military issue poncho, and of course this can be used for all kinds of things. Not only as a poncho for myself, I can make shelter, you know, I can make a drag if I need to. So having something that's nice and lightweight with some good grommets in it is always beneficial. And of course I have it tied up with some paracord, so I do have a couple extra things here. Got some more paracord inside I'll show you as well. You know, and this is one item, you know, I'm not a fan favorite of this particular pattern. To be honest with you, I can't stand it, I don't like it, but I didn't buy it, you know, so for the next few years, this is mine, it's in my kit bag, so I'm gonna put it to use, and then when I need one, I will go out and buy one. And back up here just a little bit. Next up, I got a shemagh. And this thing is great, man. I gotta tell you, you know, shemaghs, you know, large handkerchief, primarily, you know, popular out in the Middle East, and they're nice and large, so they can do a lot of things for us. Not only can it be used as a head wrap, it can be used to dip in a river or a creek and cool down our bodies. It can be used, of course, as a rag, or even an extra thin blanket. And I'll see if I can't get the rest of this gear packed up in here or on top of it. All right, so next up is about a 50 feet run of paracord. This is just regular 550 cord, nothing special about it. Next item that we're pulling out is a clean canteen. You know, and I really need to recommend that, you know, that you do get something that is a single walled way for you to store water. And the reason for that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love, you know, the high speed, low drag, vacuum sealed things that you can buy out there all the time. You know, Yeti made really popular, and now everybody has them. But the thing with a double walled vacuum sealed cup is you can't cook in it, and nor can you purify your water. So having something that's single walled, I can cook in this all day long, and I can carry it. And what I really like about this one is this lip that it has, that the Clean has, which enables me to suspend it over a fire if I need to. So that really comes in handy. Looks like next up in the bag here is a pair of socks. And I got my socks here in a Ziploc bag, which is really handy because, of course, it keeps things nice and dry. All right, so next up is just an inexpensive saw. Allows me to process wood out in the field. I'm gonna save this one for last, I think. Of course, I got a compass, got a multi-tool. It's always good to have that. We got a flashlight and some extra batteries. Next up on the outside, I do have a whistle. It's great for communication purposes. This is a Fox 40 Classic. Really good piece of equipment there. And of course, I got some baby wipes, man. You know, baby wipes, kind of a mainstay, you know, in the military, going out to the field, whatever the case is. Being able to take care of some basic hygiene is just amazing. Next up, I got some note-taking material and an all-weather pen, good for taking notes out in the field. I do have some small, you know, Chem light sticks, and I got some larger ones I'll show you here in a second, but having some small ones can be really easy means of communication that I used a long time ago, as well as just marking things at night. So next up, also in a Ziploc bag here, is a Roadside Flare. Man, a Roadside Flare, you know, can be used for all sorts of things, from starting a fire in less than perfect conditions, or, you know, communication purposes as well. You know, it's a good form of signal. Now, in this bag here, I do have a couple other first aid items, but here, you know, I got, you know, just a self-adhesive bandage, wrap, and then of course a sterile gauze as well. I don't have a lot of food in this particular one, but you know, this is just a lightweight bag, so I just got a couple bags of trail mix. Truth be told, you know, push came to shove, I'm gonna get by a couple days on that for sure. And then with everything else that I have, you know, maybe I can scrounge up some stuff. Now when it comes to the bag itself, you know, a lot of people are against, or some people are avidly against, you know, having a camouflage bag because they think, you know, it's going to make you stand out. I don't know at the end of the day that it is or that it isn't, but you know what? This is another one that I didn't buy. So it works, it's a good size, and I guess I'm a little bit of a utilitarian, so that's why I still have that bag. So this is just a MOLLE. Got some MOLLE webbing on the back, small pouch. I can't even remember where I picked this one up at, some surplus store. And this is always on my pack, you know, when I go to the field, and it's nice and easy to take out of one bag and put into the other. And I think you're gonna find, again, that there's just all kinds of items in here. So first up is a trash bag. Now, of course, a trash bag can be used for simple waterproofing. It's not gonna last you a long time, but it can be used also for water collection. Same with you know, the Poncho. If I strap this out to a couple of corners of some trees, or from the corners out to some trees, and of course I have the hood there, and all the water that's going to collect is going to go down, and it's a quick, easy way, if I'm not near a running source of water, to collect some water. Same with the shemagh. To go back to that, you know, another really easy thing that this can do is filter out some of the ickiness can be in some water before you purify it. So in here I also have just a small Ziploc bag of some basic first aid items, Band-Aids, some Neosporin type stuff. Also, man, this one's kind of a go-to, man. Let's see if I can find this thing. Oh my gosh, gotta have some moleskin, my brother. Gotta have some moleskin. You get a blister on your foot, you're gonna be sucking life. Put that on your foot and you put another 20 miles on you, no worries. Now again, having things in their own bags just comes in handy, not only because everything is organized, but of course it keeps everything nice and dry. Next up is a tourniquet, and I gotta tell you, something that we've learned in the military over the course of the past, I guess close to 19 years now, is the #1 loss to life is due to blood loss. So having a way to stop blood flow and be able to save a life is immensely important. In a tourniquet, while I can apply it to myself if I have not lost my mind at that point in time, is something lot of lines that I have with a lot of other items here that I don't necessarily carry for myself. It's like having a pair of jumper cables in the car. I don't carry jumper cables for myself, although, you know, maybe I may need them, but I carry my jumper cables so that I can help other people. So next up is a beanie. You got to be able to maintain some core temp, and that is a really easy way to cover your head and maintain some core temp. In this bag I also have, this is 25 feet of paracord. Next up I got a larger chem light, and this one happens to be affixed to a rope. So I can unwind this, break that chem light, so not only can I use it for light purposes, but I can also use it for signal because I can whip it around pretty easy. I got a sewing kit. This is a basic sewing kit. You never know when gears are gonna fall apart, clothes are gonna fall apart, and you gotta maintain and take care of all your clothes. Also got a pair of shears. Nice and handy to have an extra pair of scissors. I got some super glue for a couple reasons. You know, the first reason is really for first aid purposes, because, you know, it's a real easy way to close up maybe a little bit deeper of a wound. Maybe it's something that may have required stitches that you can't treat because you don't have a stapler, so you can apply some super glue on it after you have the blood stop. You know, and of course it can be used to fix a variety of items that we come across. Next up in this bag is just a basic survival rescue blanket. You know, nice and small, compact. Again, it's in its own Ziploc bag, so it's nice to keep yourself warm if you need to. It's also really good for a signal or visualing tool. Next up I got some water purification tablets, and there's 6 of them there. Truth be told, I'm probably going to need to get these replaced. It's been a while, and looking at it, you know, you want to make sure that I want to make sure these items that, you know, it's kind of like carrying a lot of medicine on us. You know, medicine has a shelf life, so we got to make sure that, you know, we're bearing that in mind and rotating out our stock and using what we have. So next up is just a real easy water filtration and purification system. You know, having the means to be able to collect, purify, and filter water is immensely important. And I got a little permanent marker here along with that pen. I got an extra little spool of first aid tape. I tell you, this is something that comes in handy, having a pair of dadgum fingernail clippers. About a dozen or so, just small zip ties for a variety of purposes as well, but it's nice and easy to fix things to it. And I got a set of gloves, and last but not least is this black eye case, right? It's just a sunglasses case, and I thought when I saw it, you know, what an easy way again to help store things in how I'm storing things and to keep things organized. But in this particular one, I had the bulk of my fire starting equipment. Of course I got, and some of this is redundant. I don't always carry so much redundancy in fire starting, but you know, having some really long, amazing matches, these things burn forever, and so that's pretty awesome. I got a magnesium stick, which is pretty handy. Comes in handy, I like it. I also have a Ferro rod in here. Again, some of this is just to show you some of the things that you can use. Is you need to have more than one way to start a fire. You need to have some redundancy in how you're going to start a fire and purify water. And speaking of making fire, next up is in these aluminum packets here, cotton balls saturated in Vaseline. And I'll give you a demonstration of these later, but they will burn a solid 7 minutes, man. It is really good, and I have a couple of them here with me. Nice and sealed up, so that oil shouldn't get out of there. I got a, I know this is not fire starting, but it just kind of fit in the kit pretty easy. I got a field expedient way to sharpen my blade if I need to do so. I have another marker. This is the one I've had for the longest time. It's still good, but what I did was I took some duct tape and I rolled it around. It's a nice, easy way to carry a bunch of duct tape with you, because what can't you fix with some duct tape and some dadgum wire? Now this happens to be tripwire. I've had this for a long time, you know, and tripwire, you know, I can use for a lot of things. I can build some field expedient snares with it. I can get this down in the fire, and if the fire happens to come up, I don't have to worry about it burning or melting my paracord. So just all kinds of use for this thing. And again, you know, there's probably close to 100 feet. You know, one of the things I just really wanted to demonstrate and try to get across to you is that this is not a buy all these things, specific items, and you can do what you need to do. You know, every situation is going to be different. Every location is going to be different. Every weather system is going to be different. Every most likely scenario is going to be different, whether you're in an urban environment, whether you're in a rural environment, mountains, desert. If I'm down on the coast, you know, like maybe it's New Orleans area, I'm probably more concerned with things like water. You know, not only how am I going to collect and purify my water, because everything, you know, I had the tidal surge that came in, but also just how to stay, you know, dry and of course stay alive. If I happen to be in another area, earthquakes may be my primary concern for a most likely scenario. Other places might be wildfires. So again, you know, every situation is different, and it's one of the things that irks me to no end sometimes when I'm looking at some other lists or videos or things that people are teaching and showing, and they're presenting a case, a field case or field kit or bug out bag, and say just buy this bag and you'll be ready. But take those 10 key areas and build them into your pack, build them into your kits, and have depth: food, fire, water, shelter, first aid, maintaining a core temp, being able to communicate, navigate, have some method of self-defense, and of course the last primary area that you need to have is knowledge. Knowledge on how to use the things that you have in your kit bag, and knowledge of how to employ them to maintain yourself and to sustain life. And so what you're gonna find is that there's a twofold thing that's going on here. The more knowledge that you have, the less items that you need. Whereas the less knowledge that you have, the more items that you're going to need. So of course, you know, you're going to want to have things that serve a multitude of purposes, but you also want to just be able to know how to use one to the best of its ability, and to be the most efficient that you can with that tool. All right, everybody, there you go. Ultra lightweight bug out bag and survival kit by Stoker. Again, you know, I appreciate you spending a few minutes here with me. I really would appreciate if you let me know down in the comments below what you thought about the contents of the pack, and more importantly, share with other people what you put into your everyday kit bag, or your layer 2, a bug out bag or survival kit, and maybe what you store in the house, things of this nature, so that we can keep the conversation rolling. If you enjoyed the content of the video, make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button, click that notification bell so you can stay up to date. And as always, until then, we'll see you.